This Quietcast podcast is brought to you by the I Was a Teenage Fundamentalist podcast.
Hey Brian, do you know anyone that was once a teenage fundamentalist?
Oh, Troy, you know that I was, because you and I have a podcast called I Was a Teenage Fundamentalist.
Ooh, Brian, I sense the Lord at work here.
He works in mysterious ways.
So tune in to I Was a Teenage Fundamentalist, the official podcast for the Azusa Street Revival.
I'm not quite sure that's true, but it is available wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, heathens, you're listening to the Deadly Faith Podcast, where religion and crime collide. I'm Laci.
And I'm Lola.
And this shit is deplorable.
The mind that was in Jesus, that mind is in me.
Without me, life has no meaning.
Why would God tell you what I'm thinking and tell you what I've said to my wife or my husband when you're not around? It's because I'm the pastor of the church and I need to know.
This is the only place where you can see truth.
This one is really bad. It's not really, really bad. It's not like super graphic or anything. It's just like, what the fuck, dude?
We're just not going to have a good time. You're letting us know right off the bat.
You are, but it's not super bad. It's not super bad, but it's like a God damn you people kind of situation. But
For sure.
Do we have any announcements before we... Actually, yes, we have one announcement. Lola and I just figured this out when we were digging through all of our listening platforms. If you want to head over to Spotify, it has to be on your phone, on the app. Even the app on my Apple computer wouldn't let me do it. So it has to be on your phone. Go into the episode and it'll ask you what you thought about the episode, and you can reply to us. And so it can kind of be like a comment slight type section, and maybe we'll be able to reply. We'll see. We'll look at it. We
try it out for us.
Yeah, let's try
experiment.
This out. Our network is the one who designed who established all of our profiles on all of the listening platforms. So you might just get a reply specifically from me, Laci, or from Lola. We'll see how it goes. And you can delete your reply at any time. So
exciting.
Just like comments on social media. So we're going to try it out. So head over and do that for us, just so we can kind of see.
And one more announcement too. We still have merch. It's still here. And we would love for you to represent. We're representing. We want you to also. We've got cute designs out. We've got some other ones coming, which I'm very excited for.
We have some fun ideas in our little brains of ours.
T-shirt ideas on our Patreon. It's for any of our tiers. So even the free tier.
Yeah.
And if you want to join the Patreon community, you can get access to the Potty Podcast. It's only $5 a month. And you
cheaper than a coffee.
For sure. And you can listen to us shoot the shit, where we talk about cool things. And
which you really don't want to miss the episode we just recorded, because it was called Word Association. And oh my God, my stomach hurts from laughing so hard. Some of them were just straight up stupid. And then some of them were, I was rolling out of my chair, guys. Okay. You don't want to miss it.
Come be part of the secret society and have the, be a part of an inside joke, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Be part of that with us.
We interrupt today's episode to bring you a message from our sponsor, Javy. Say goodbye to chaotic mornings and hello to delicious, convenient coffee. With Javy's coffee concentrate in a variety of flavors, you can whip up your favorite brew in no time. Whether you prefer hot, iced, or even blended coffee, Javy's got you covered, okay? Just a teaspoon of this magic elixir is all you need for a flavorful kickstart to your day. Trust me, once you try it, you'll be hooked. From classic flavors like vanilla and caramel to decadent options like cookies and cream and caramel brulee, Javy literally has something for every coffee lover. As a mom with 3 kids, 2 dogs, 3 bunnies, and 25 chickens, I love how Javy helps me make a delicious iced coffee every morning in under 2 minutes. Seriously, guys, it's just so quick. You just pour it all together, stir it in, and enjoy. My favorite flavor right now is the caramel brulee, but I did just order the cookies and cream along with the decaf, so I can enjoy an afternoon or evening coffee without jacking up my sleep schedule. They've got original, and they've got even more other flavors to come. They've got mocha as well. You really don't want to miss this. So if you want to save some time each morning and even a little money, or if you just want to try a damn good cup of coffee, try Javy today. Don't wait. Click the link in the show notes and use code LACI33468 at checkout to enjoy 20% off your purchase. Again, click the link in the show notes and use code Laci33468 at checkout. And that is Laci with an I. Enjoy that 20% off, guys, and back to the show. All right, let's jump into today's case. Today, we are talking about the death and the murder of Randy Stone. Before we get in, I'll give you a few trigger warnings. There's not many. We're talking about murder. It's not going to be graphic. And then we're going to be talking about religious manipulation. It's pretty much all I got for you. So, you ready?
This is an easier one.
Crazy
I can handle this. One. I'm good.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one. It's not a good one, but it's an easier one.
No, we misspeak. It's fine.
Yeah, not a good one. Okay, so Randy and Teresa Stone grew up together in Kansas City, Missouri, but they drifted apart after Randy enlisted in the Marines at age 18. Now, when he returned home in 1990, my birth year, they reconnected and rekindled their relationship, and they married around 1991.
Horrible.
So it didn't take long for them to rekindle that relationship.
I love.
Got married. Now, eventually, they had 2 children, Michael and Miranda, before Randy decided to opt for vasectomy as they were happy with their family size. So they're like, well, we're done.
Go off.
Right. Congratulations and good job for you choosing a vasectomy and not making the woman do it.
Yeah. Don't make your wife get that invasive surgery. Good on you.
Mm-hmm. Now, Randy was known for his toughness and competitive spirit, whether that be in sports or in business. Now, this drive helped him build one of the most successful farmers insurance agencies in the area. However, Randy was a very multifaceted man, and despite his rough exterior, he had a very soft inside.
Stop, he's a teddy bear.
Dude, it's so freaking cute. It's fucking adorable. Throughout their marriage, he wrote poetry to Teresa and he kept a journal. I know, how fucking adorable is that? Like,
I love it.
Swoon.
I'm obsessed.
He also drove the children's Sunday school bus. He taught Sunday school and he advised the church board on financial matters. He was very heavily involved with his faith and his church community.
Nice. Okay.
So, Randy was seen as a pillar in the community, and many said that he worshipped Teresa, his wife. He was, when he was away on business, his coworkers would say that he was constantly talking about her and calling in to check in on her and just chit chat.
They're in love.
They were in love, and many just admired their beautiful relationship. It was so cute.
Yeah.
Teresa also worked alongside Randy at the Farmers Insurance Agency. Initially, she came on handling the customer service, but then she became a licensed insurance agent, and she contributed significantly to the growth and maintenance of the business. Now, the two operated like a well-oiled machine, complementing each other's skills and strength. It was perfect. You know how some people are like, I don't want to work with my spouse. Yeah. You know, some people are like, I don't want to work with my spouse.
Oh, come on.
These worked great. Also, I'd love to work with my spouse. I do work with my spouse all the time.
I was going to say, you guys do work together.
I was like, I could work with them all the time.
If you don't work well inside your house, you won't work well outside your house.
I know, right?
So that's the true.
Yeah. I would agree with that. Now, the Stones attended New Hope Baptist Church in Independence, Missouri. This was a church that Teresa had been a member of for most of her life, and Randy was happy to join the congregation. Teresa, she sang in the choir here. She helped in the kitchen at church events. Like, she had a very well-established relationship with the members and with the church itself. Randy actually preferred New Hope Baptist because he appreciated Pastor David Love and considered him one of his best friends and mentors. Mm-hmm. Something that he admired about Pastor Love was his strict biblical interpretations and teachings.
Okay.
Randy often remarked that the Southern Baptist Convention was too liberal and compromised too much for his liking, which I was like,
Randy,
damn, son, like, you were very conservative. If you don't know
Randy
what the Southern...
probably would not hang out with us.
Nah, Randy would not like us.
That's okay.
We're still going to cover your case because we still love you. And
you
you're
deserve
a sweet
it,
man,
Randy.
okay?
Come on.
We would not agree on religious takes. Let's just leave it there and say that. But if you don't know what the Southern Baptist Convention is, just do a little bit of Googling. They're very, very conservative. That line kind of shocked me. I was like, damn, you think they're too liberal?
Wow.
Yeah, but to each his own.
Okay.
So, Pastor Love was known for his smooth and charismatic speaking style. His preaching method involved systematically and methodically breaking down a section of scripture during a sermon to make his message very, very clear. So he'd take like a handful of scripture and then just like break it down piece by piece by piece.
Okay.
For his sermon.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, I'm going to teach over like this whole chapter or the couple of chapters.
That's
or
very
this
Church
story.
of Christ method.
Yeah, it was
you pick it apart so that there's absolutely no flaw to the argument and everything makes sense and there's no question to ask.
It's giving, what is it called? These apologetics. It's giving apologetics.
Yep.
That's where I was getting. Yeah. Despite Love's reputation as a good preacher, he struggled with financial management when it came to his churches. In the 1990s, he led a church in Virginia that eventually dissolved due to financial mismanagement. And then early in his tenure at New Hope Baptist Church, similar issues arose when approximately $30,000 went missing from the missionary fund.
Good God.
When he was confronted about these missing funds, he responded angrily, declaring, quote, "I will not let a church checkbook run my ministry," end quote. So
okay,
that's somebody's yearly wage, and this is in the 90s. So like, that's a lot of money in the 90s.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. Now, David was married. Pastor Love was married to Kimberly Love, and he was head over heels in love with her. In the early years of their marriage, Kimberly described being treated like a queen by David. However, as time passed,
I was going to say the early years.
The early years. However, as time passed, Kimberly grew increasingly jealous and weary of other women. She was very fearful that somebody might steal her husband, and she vigilantly ensured that other women maintained a very healthy distance from her man. It was very much like she saw her husband as this like very beautiful and, pastor, and people flocked to the pastor, you know?
Yeah.
And so she was like, back the fuck off.
So if you went to go speak to him after church and be like, "Would you pray over me?" She'd be like, "Yes, we will. Me and husband."
Yes, I would think that was, maybe something like that. Or also, I think she just kind of had some women's numbers. And she was like, "I see what you're trying to do," kind of thing.
No, yeah. I mean, pastor crushes are real.
And they are. And
they turn the charm on,
They do. And they're not all sunshine and rainbows, these pastors, okay? We know this. We know this here at the Deadly Faith Podcast. Unfortunately.
Here at the Deadly Faith Company. We are aware.
Fuck yeah. Right. Okay. So despite his financial shortcomings, though, Pastor Love's captivating sermons and passionate delivery made him a central figure at New Hope Baptist Church. His personal life, marked by a devoted wife, also added another layer to everyone's just high regard of this man.
Of course.
Now we're going to fast forward some years, and we're going to go to the day of March 10th, 2010.
2010.
2010. I know. 10 years after Y2K.
Jersey Shore. Anyway.
We made it. We're Jersey
That's
Shore.
all I got. Jersey Shore.
Jersey Shore.
That's it.
Well, on March 10th, 2010, Teresa returned to the insurance agency's office in the late afternoon. And as she parked next to her husband's blue Chevy Malibu, she noticed that the blinds in the office were closed. And this immediately struck her as something unusual because she knew she had opened them that morning when she opened the office. So upon reaching the door, she discovered that it was locked. So she went to unlock it and found that only the bottom lock was locked, not the deadbolt. And that was also kind of weird. Why is there only one lock locked? So she entered the office and she started calling out for Randy, but received no response. So she searched multiple rooms, again, not finding him, until she reached her small office. There, she saw Randy laying motionless on the floor next to her desk by a copy machine. Panicked, Teresa yelled Randy's name, followed by, "Wake up!" Then she stepped over his body to grab a wireless telephone headset where she called her parents, telling them that Randy was shot and they needed to come to the office immediately.
Was he shot?
Just hold on. Just hold on to that. Afterwards, she dialed 911 for help. Now, this is the conversation, some of the conversation she had with the operator. Teresa, "Oh my God." Operator, 911, "Do you need police, fire, or medical?" Teresa, yes, I do, please. Operator, okay, take a breath. Where are you at? Teresa, I just walked into my office and my husband's laying on the floor in my office. Operator, okay, listen to me. Where are you? I need the address of where you're at. Teresa, it's 13912 Nolan Court. Operator, okay, what's the suite number? Teresa, suite A is in Apple. Operator, okay, now what's wrong with your husband? Teresa, he's been, I don't know. There's blood everywhere. It's coming out of his ear. Okay, so that was.
I don't like that you're smiling. I don't like it. I don't like it.
We all know where this is going, okay?
I know, but
it's a tell us all the time. Now, after this, the operator tells Teresa to leave the building in case the perpetrator is still inside.
There. So, dun, dun, dun.
So she goes outside and she's standing there, and Teresa sees someone from her church quickly pull into the parking lot. Word of what had happened spread rather quickly after Teresa called her parents because her parents activated the church's prayer tree.
Oh.
And so, it was a matter of minutes, and everybody in the church knew that something was wrong. Or that Randy had been shot, apparently, because that's what she told her parents. Now, the church member who arrived darted inside the office to check on Randy. After realizing Randy was dead, he returned outside to Teresa and informed her that, yes, Randy is, in fact, dead. She, when realizing this, shrieked, "No," and then collapsed into this man's arms. Moments later, Kimberly Love arrived and approached Teresa. They embraced, and she told her that, we're here for you. I'm so sorry about this. We're going to do anything to help you during this time. Now, after that, Pastor David Love arrived, along with many other church members and the police. As the police assessed the scene and began their investigation, church members stayed to comfort Teresa and offer any assistance they could. At one point, Teresa needed to use the restroom, and so Kimberly offered to drive her down the street. During the drive, Kimberly glanced over at Teresa and found herself wondering, quote, "Did she do this?" End quote. So even the pastor's wife's like, bitch, I see something here.
I have this, like an itty bitty red flag. I want one of those. I need to make us a different level red flag.
Yes.
Because at the beginning when I was like, you were like, wait, I just want to hold up a little tiny red flag.
Yeah. And then now you're like, does my red flag get bigger?
I'm wondering.
Now, the lead investigator for Randy's murder was Detective Rose Warren, and it didn't take long for him to learn about Randy's military service. And as a fellow veteran, Rose Warren felt a personal connection to the case. Both men were immensely proud of their military backgrounds, making Rose Warren even more determined to solve this murder. So as Rose Warren walked through the office, he noticed there wasn't the slightest sign of a struggle, literally anywhere. It was also clear that Randy had been shot in the head while his back was turned. So those two things led the detective to believe that Randy likely knew his attacker. If he felt comfortable to turn his back on this person and there was no signs of a struggle, he knew who it was.
Yeah.
Others' theories didn't seem as plausible. Who would walk into an insurance agency in the middle of the day to rob it or commit some random act of violence?
Mm-hmm.
Also, there was $151 in cash left untouched on a desk, and Randy's wallet was still in his back pocket. So, while these possibilities could be possible,
unlikely,
still very unlikely. Exactly. It's not fully ruled out, but that's not the direction they're heading with the investigation.
Okay.
At the scene, investigators did not find the murder weapon, but they did recover a .40 caliber shell casing. I said that really weird. A shell casing by Randy's feet. While searching the office, a torn up card in Teresa's trash can caught their attention. So they fished it out of the trash can and pieced it back together to
I'm at the edge of my seat. I'm fine.
To reveal the message. Now, this isn't the full letter, but this is some of what was in this letter. It read, "Happy birthday, love. You are so very precious to my heart. I care for you more than anyone on earth. I'm not in control of things yet, but when we are fully together, your birthday will always be exciting, full of surprises, romantic, and all about loving you. You are the center of my world. I praise you. I adore you. I'm blessed by you. I need you. I love you.
What?
So, yes. So the investigators quickly noted the card as potentially like a very significant piece of evidence.
It didn't say who it was from?
Seemed to come from Randy. It seemed to be coming from a lover because it said, I'm not in control of things yet, but when we are fully together.
Yeah.
How are you not fully together with your husband? If you're not fully together with someone that's probably a lover, not your spouse. So to confirm or deny their suspicions, they went and got some documents with Randy's handwriting and noted that the letter didn't bear any similarities to that of Randy's. Leaving them to believe Teresa may have been having an affair. So
I would bet my salary on it.
Right? Now this raised the question, who was Teresa's lover? While other officers continued to investigate the crime scene, a few took Teresa to the station for her very first formal interview. Now, initially, they asked her to walk them through her day, and Teresa provided a very well-documented and detailed alibi, like down to the minute and receipts and everything of all her errands.
Wow.
I mean, it was perfect, too perfect. Now, this did raise a red flag for the investigators. They're like, lady, this is a little too perfect.
Yeah.
So the detectives then asked her about their marriage and if she knew anyone who might want to hurt Randy. Teresa claimed she couldn't think of anybody who would want to hurt her or him, and mentioned that the only hardship they were facing within their marriage was some financial strain due to a business change, but this was something that they had previously planned for. So it was not something that came out of the blue. They're planning this. They were prepared for it. So it's like, is it really technically like a struggle? Not really. Otherwise, she described their marriage as strong and said everything was peachy, just perfect, wonderful, sunshine, rainbows, and butterflies over here, okay? The investigators noted her responses and demeanor, aware that her detailed alibi, like I said, and the seemingly perfect portrayal of her marriage could either indicate she was innocent or suggest she was hiding something. What's your guess?
You know,
I think I know what
I was going to say, when it's this perfect, it's either like, wow, that is the best life possible. That is the best marriage possible. Or you're full of shit.
And I tend to
it's extremes. There's no middle part to that.
There's no middle part. And maybe this is just like the pessimistic side of me, but I'm always like, bitch, you lying. I know you lying. Or you're a delulu. Like,
even if you're not facing like some type of struggle within your household, saying like, oh, everything is perfect, everything is great, like, it just seems insincere.
Yeah. Because I'm like, nobody's life is like that. So now does it point to like, you definitely did this? No, but I think you're lying, or
side eye.
Yeah.
Someone slap a sticker.
Sure about that?
Side eye.
That's like that TikTok sound. Are you sure about that?
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
This is, yeah. So next, the investigators asked Teresa about a Glock that one of Randy's police officer friends knew that he had. And Teresa replied that the only gun she had seen Randy with for some time was the .38. And she guessed that he must have sold that .40 caliber Glock that he had. Now, at this point, the investigators switched their line of questioning to the birthday card they found. She has no idea they found this at all. Okay. So they bring it up, and initially, Teresa's like visibly uncomfortable and taken aback. And she's not giving him any clear answers. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's like when you catch a kid if you like catch a kid with like chocolate on their face and hands, and you're like, did you eat the candy? And they're like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Candy, what is that?
What is that?
It's like J.P. Miller. What's an autopsy?
Oh my God, fucking idiot. God damn. All right. That was the Micah Miller case. If you haven't listened to that episode, go back. Anyways, okay, at this point, the investigators are like, okay, we're going to leave the room and we're going to try to go get a copy of that letter to maybe jog your memory. So they leave the room.
They're
Now,
so badass. Okay.
Much later, this is way later.
Yeah.
They are reviewing the tapes because these interviews, they're being recorded all the time. They get everything. And they catch on the recording when the police officers leave and Teresa is alone in the room.
Oh, yes.
They catch her on recording saying, quote, "Oh, great. I forgot about that." End quote.
Girl. Thank you.
And bitch, your husband hadn't been dead like 5 hours and they're already like, pretty sure we got a big fucking lead. Okay. So they come back into the room. Actually, hold on. Wait, we're not going to go there. We're going to skip ahead.
Okay.
Because we're going to talk about David Love, okay? Pastor David Love.
Tell me more.
In 1999, David Love became the new pastor at New Hope Baptist. After only a year, he called Teresa into his office on her birthday, saying he had something for her.
No, I don't like it.
Now, we know about this because in a letter he wrote around 2009, he recounted this moment. And he said in this letter, quote, "I remember 9 years ago telling you I had something for you in my office." I don't know why I'm talking like this, but I'm not quitting.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
"It was me. I wanted to give you me. That kiss you took, and then you gave me one back. It felt like it was my birthday." End quote.
Oh my God. Thank you. I hate it so much. That is the worst thing you've ever said out loud ever in your life.
I'm surprised you didn't like spit your drink out when I was reading that.
No, I did spit my drink out.
Now, I know we're laughing, okay?
I need a gif of
and
me.
And this is
doing
a serious case. Randy lost his life, okay? This has nothing to do about Randy, but I am going to laugh my ass off at these motherfuckers playing with his emotions and being an asshole.
You came into my office and it felt like it was my birthday.
Okay, and how fucking stupid is that line? That kiss you took, and then you gave me one back. Oh, stop it. You're so gross.
Someone send help immediately.
Someone get some writing lessons from Sarah J. Maas. Jesus Christ.
Yes.
I know, right? Queen.
Shameless plug.
Now, this little interaction in his office on her birthday, 1 year after he became the pastor, began the beginnings of their affair. This was an affair, mind you. I hope you remember those days. He started in 1999, meaning he called her into his office in 2000. Randy is found dead in 2010.
Yeah, long time.
This is a long-ass fucking affair they kept up with, okay?
How did they get away with this? This is wild.
They're fucking wild. Okay. Now, this affair started with weekly meetups, and then it went to 3 times a week. And then it eventually turned into daily meetings, sometimes even twice a day.
How? You have other spouses.
You have kids too. And you have a job. Where the fuck do you find this time? I am confused.
Oh, wait, but they're besties, right?
Yeah.
Randy and David?
Yeah. Randy and David.
So I guess that would kind of make sense.
Such good friends. Now, I'll mention this here because I wasn't really sure where to pin it in at, but
okay.
When Randy died and they had his funeral a few days after his passing, Pastor David Love was the one that gave a very moving and touching eulogy at his funeral. And everybody cried and was like, that was so beautiful. Okay, just keep that in mind as we move forward with this case. He was boinking his wife the whole time.
That tracks. Okay, yeah.
In 2005, 5 years after they started their affair, Teresa became pregnant by David Love. But she pretended that Randy was the father.
Stop.
Now, do you remember what Randy did in the beginning of this episode? After they had their first 2 children? What did Randy go do?
Oh, vasectomy.
Randy got a snippy snip. Yeah. Randy got a snippy snip. And she's like, it's your baby. But
oh my God.
Randy knew that there was a very small possibility of getting pregnant after a vasectomy. And so he chose to just believe that this was his child.
Okay.
Now, unfortunately, or perhaps fortunately, whichever way you want to look at this, Teresa suffered a miscarriage. So
shit.
She never ended up having the baby.
Dang.
Now in 2002, I know I'm kind of jumping little bit all over the place, but it's just to kind of give you an idea of this little affair.
I like the context.
Yeah.
Keep going.
In 2002, Randy stumbled upon a sexually suggestive love letter written by Teresa to a man named David. Randy confronted her, but she claimed that she had read that staging an affair could somehow strengthen their marriage.
That's, oh, honey, what a load of crap.
I am like, I can smell that from here, bitch. I have never heard that in my life.
We can make a sandwich with the amount of bologna in that excuse. Are you kidding me? God.
She is saying that she wrote this fake letter to a man named David, okay? And this sexually suggestive letter in hopes that her husband would find it and it would somehow spice up their marriage.
Yeah.
I know what it's going to spice up and it ain't going to be your marriage. Like, what?
Spice your... Never mind. I'm going to stop talking.
Spice
anyway.
up your arguments.
Yeah.
Now, Randy actually... I don't know if he necessarily believed this at this time or if he just chose to not make waves and just continue on with the marriage, you know? Like divorce is a very big thing.
Yeah.
So although this explanation smoothed things over temporarily, Randy, he still had his suspicions and he eventually confided in another pastor named David Trump about this letter and his suspicions. So Pastor David Trump was a pastor from, I think it was like North or South Carolina. And I think him and David Love from New Hope Baptist, they had done some kind of work together and like met and their churches kind of worked together or done something. And that's how David Love, the pastor of New Hope, knew David Trump, the pastor of another church.
Yeah.
Another state. And how Teresa and Randy both knew this same pastor. Are we following?
Okay.
You good?
I'm tracking.
You got it?
I'm
okay,
tracking.
Great. Perfect.
Proceed
if
to
you're
the
tracking, the listeners are tracking. Here we go.
Great.
Now we're going to fast forward a little bit. I could have put those in different order. Okay, so in 2002, sexually suggestive letter. She's like, I pretended. 2005, she gets pregnant and miscarries the baby, pretends it's Randy's. Now in 2008, Randy shared his suspicions about Teresa's affair with Pastor Love with another church member. So he tells this church member that, hey, I don't know if we're going to be here much longer because like I think my wife's boinking the pastor. Now the other member dismissed his concerns as very ridiculous and even cautioned Randy about making such a life-changing accusation. Like, this is a pastor.
Way to victim blame, but okay.
You better have your ducks in a row before you start accusing this man of God.
He's so holy.
Of such heinous accusations.
He's so holy and he gets in everybody's holes. Anyway, moving on.
Moving on. Now, Randy did reconsider his accusation and he kind of just stepped back from that.
Okay.
Despite his doubts, he remained committed to his marriage and even began weekly counseling sessions with Teresa, with Pastor Love.
What? Okay, that's
Teresa,
just not...
Oh, the what hasn't even hit you yet, okay?
Great.
So the reason for the counseling is going to make you want to pull your hair out. Because Teresa caught Randy watching pornography, and this deeply disturbed her. And so she wanted him to go to marriage counseling, and he agreed. So this man agrees to go to marriage counseling with his wife, blaming him for needing this counseling because he's watching pornography, heaven to fucking bid. And the whole time, she's boinking the pastor that is doing the marriage counseling with them.
Son, I gotta walk that one off. That's just the audacity.
Come on, Pastor Love. I want to play a game with you. It's called Dodge Brick. Jesus Christ. So All the while, Pastor Love and Teresa, like I said, are having this steamy affair. They're writing letters to one another saying things like, quote,
no, stop. I don't even want to fucking know. Oh my God.
If I had to read it, you have to read it. You have to hear it too.
Okay, fine.
David wrote this to her in January of 2009. Okay. Quote, I long for the touch of your hand as you walk by and the twinkle in your pretty blue eyes as you smile at me. You are my doll. Your encouragement is all that keeps me going. Thank you for being so wonderful, beautiful, sexy, and smart. I live to please you. I am so totally in love with you. I cannot wait to watch you walk to me, knowing that we are officially about to be married, publicly. I love your ideas, in reference to wedding planning. I love your plans. I think you can collect wedding info and file it as if you are planning your daughter's wedding. I can't.
I just had a fucking aneurysm.
She's like, I'm gone. I'm dead.
I did not think it was possible to cringe so physically hard.
I know.
And you know what? I'm sorry that Eric has to edit this. I'm sorry for his ears and for everyone's ears.
Your ear holes. I know. Okay, so in 2009, he's telling her, I love your ideas. I love all your plans for a wedding. Keep planning, collect.
Pretend that you're planning the wedding like it's your daughter's.
Like it's your daughter's.
That's sick. That's sick.
Mm-hmm. And by this point, they'd had this affair going for 9 years. Okay, this is January 2009.
Of course.
So they're growing bold. They're ready for marriage, okay?
I guess so.
Now, despite the weight of their actions, Pastor Love used the Bible to rationalize and justify their affair, bending its teachings to fit his needs.
Of course.
He likened himself to King David, citing David's own moral failings and God's forgiveness as evidence that no man's depravity was beyond redemption.
So he knows it's wrong, but he's like, it's fine.
It's fine. I can ask for forgiveness. Bam, bitch. And I'm still in heaven. Yep. He even referenced King David's actions in orchestrating the passing of Bathsheba's husband to take as his wife. So he's kind of like referencing like, hey, if I'm King David and King David killed Bathsheba's husband to take her as his wife, like.
You know what? You know what too? It also says in the New Testament that shall I continue in sin after I confess? By no means. By no means. Did you forget that part?
Yes, he did. That verse did not suit him. So he's like, I have blinders on. I cannot see it. I cannot read it.
It's hard to deal. I get it.
Now, Teresa, she was sniffing what he was shitting. And she was like, no.
Okay.
I knew that was going to get you. And Teresa, she attempted to caution Pastor Love, like against these very extreme desires, to take out her husband. He wasn't out and out saying it, but she was I know what you're trying to do. Calm the fuck down, dude. Take a Xanax. But, Pastor Love remained steadfast and attributed his desires as, quote, his warrior nature. Swear to God. Men in their warrior shit.
Is this a white man?
Oh, it's a full white man.
Yeah,
that's full white man.
Yeah.
It's a white man. Yes.
No!
That's from New Girl. If anybody is like, they always do that reference. It's from New Girl.
Sluts for New Girl.
Schmitty says it. Schmitty. And he continues to justify their behavior using this religious rhetoric and, assigning himself as King David. Now, as the officers continued their investigation, of course, rumors and gossip surrounding the alleged affair between Pastor David Love and Teresa Stone reached them rather quickly because they may have been, secretive with their affair. But after you're holding an affair for 10 years, like, people are going to notice. Even if it's in secret, they're going to be gossiping. And it's church. So, they'd be gossiping a lot about this affair. And they were. Makes back to the cops, okay? So they start to dig further into it and suspect that Love is probably the person behind the birthday card that they found, torn up in Teresa's trash can. Also, Teresa's behavior started to become very suspicious for the officers because Unlike most widows who regularly check in for updates on the investigation of their husband's murder, she hadn't called once at all.
She didn't need to know.
Or stopped by.
Knew.
Nothing.
She knew.
And at this point, it was like just a little over 2 weeks. You don't want to update, bitch? This person just like walked into your husband's office, offed him.
Wouldn't you be
this is
scared?
where you work. I'd be terrified.
Wouldn't you be confused and angry? Yeah.
So for the officers, this math is mathing, and it's all pointing back to Teresa.
2, 4, 7.
So the detectives' working theory is centered around David and Teresa's decade-long affair, suspecting that they conspired to eliminate Randy so that they could be together. According to this theory, they believed that Teresa provided David with Randy's .40 caliber Glock. And then they communicated through disposable cell phones as they plotted the upcoming murders. They did suspect that it was not only Randy that they chose to and did murder. They believed that they did plan on murdering Kimberly, David's wife, as well. This is what they're suspecting, okay? So with mounting evidence pointing towards their involvement, the detectives intensified their efforts to gather concrete proof to support their theory. So they asked Teresa to come in for another interview. They thought that Teresa was going to be the one to crack. If they were going to be able to crack one of them, it was Teresa.
Okay.
So during the second investigation or interrogation on April 20th, just 20 days after Randy's passing, the officers decided to focus on breaking Teresa's resolve and potentially uncovering inconsistencies in her and David's alibis. They began by confronting her with the torn-up birthday note found in the trash during the initial investigation. Now, in the previous interview, Teresa claimed she didn't know who had written the note, but the detectives asserted that it likely had to come from somebody from the church. Originally, Teresa tried to say that, like, oh, that letter, oh, that note, oh, that just got put on my car by a secret admirer years ago. I didn't realize that was the letter you were talking about. So when they came back into the office,
likely.
that's what they, yeah. So they're like, in this interrogation, they're like, we think you know. We think you know who wrote this. And because of the things that are being said, we know it's got to be somebody in the church. And they just cut the bullshit and they came right out straight and said it. Was it David Love? And Teresa visibly deflated in her chair and admitted, yeah, he wrote it.
That was quick.
I know, right? Like they were right.
Find it. I mean, good.
They broke her. Now, with this admission, the investigators probed further, asking if Teresa believed David had any involvement in Randy's death. Despite her admission about the note, though, she was adamant that Randy had no involvement. There was no way he had any involvement in this. So as the interrogation stretched on for hours, a small group of officers crowded into the nearby conference room to watch the live feed of the interrogation. It had been 20 days and everybody in town was wrapped up in this murder investigation. And all the officers knew this had to be, the tale as old as time. Like we know. And so they were just chomping at the bit to hear her confession. So she doesn't know this, but like multiple officers have their popcorn, their sodas, they're ready. They're watching this go down. Now, over time, Teresa began to confess to more and more details. It was slow and it was little things, but all those little things, they started to add up and they would use one little thing to kind of push into another and then to push into another and then to push into another.
Yeah.
Now, initially, she did admit to communicating with David through burner cell phones, but she claimed that they were only trying to conceal a counseling relationship.
What?
From David's wife, Kimberly. She was literally trying to say, we're just counseling. Like, he's just counseling me and we're just communicating through the cell phone. That's all. And we're just trying to hide it from Kimberly because she's still overprotective of her husband. Despite her vehement denials of any involvement with David, intimate involvement, the detectives weren't buying it and persisted with their questions. Frustrated by Teresa's evasions, Detective Rosewarne finally reached his breaking point, and he just sternly said, quote, I've got about 20 detectives out there who want to take this to the grand jury today or tomorrow. They believe we have enough evidence against you to press charges because they suspect you're involved in this. Not that you killed him, but that you had something to do with this.
Yeah.
So, good cop.
They just
good cop came off, bad cop comes in, and he's like nailing it down. Like, what now?
Go off.
Teresa could feel the pressure mounting, and after a bit more pushing, she finally confessed to having a sexual affair with David Love and even admitted to having miscarried his child back in 2005. With this new revelation, Detective Rose Warren shifted the interrogation's focus, honing in on discrepancies in both of Teresa's initial calls after finding Randy's body. So now that they've confirmed, okay, you were in a sexual relationship with David Love. We have confirmed the rumor that's been circulating. Now we're going to nail your ass to the floor. So they start to point out that Teresa had called and told her parents that Randy had been shot. But then when she called 911 seconds later, she claimed she didn't know what had happened.
Yeah.
Okay. She only mentioned that he had some blood coming out of his ear. So detectives pressed her on how she could have known Randy had been shot. After a few minutes of back and forth, Teresa broke again. And she said, David told me. How did David know? How did David tell you? And she said, through a text message. He texted me, told me.
He just texted me, he's dead.
Right? Okay. Then it gets even more confusing though, because Teresa was now implicating David in Randy's murder.
Yeah.
As the interrogation stretched into the sixth hour, the investigators devised a plan to have Teresa call David at home in an attempt to coax a confession out of him. Now, this was at 12:43 a.m. So it was fucking late ass night. This is on April 21st. Teresa made the call, but David immediately sensed something wasn't right. Well, yeah, she's calling you at almost 1 a.m.
That's not
good. Yeah. I don't know why the cops made her do this at 1 a.m. Come on.
That wasn't smart.
So Teresa pleaded with David, saying, quote, you have to do something. I can't live like this anymore. This is killing me, David. David suspiciously was like, okay, who's there with you? Are you at home? Because he's not buying this. Come on, guys. Yeah. Despite David's caution, though, Teresa kept on and kept persisting. She pressed him, desperate for answers. Quote, I need to know. I need to know why you killed my husband. Please, I can't live like this anymore. Now, they were aware the way that David was talking that Kimberly had to be right around him, listening to the conversation the whole time.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So as the conversation is unfolding, tension's mounting, and Teresa was pushing for the truth. And David was growing increasingly more guarded. And after a little while, Kimberly, the wife of David, grabs the phone from her husband and demands to know why Teresa was calling so late and why she was questioning her husband.
Oh
now,
my God.
This kind of goes back and forth for a little bit. And as the tension escalated, officers knew that, all right, this is going nowhere good, and motions for Teresa to hang up the phone. So she hangs up. Now, after the call ended, Kimberly started questioning David, which, right? She's demanding answers about his involvement in Randy's death. She's like, did you do anything? What the fuck is going on? Tell me what's going on.
Why is she calling?
Why the fuck is she calling at almost 1 a.m.? What does she mean by all of this? David, again, is like, absolutely, I had no involvement. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And he even said, I won't let her pin this all on me.
Oh, what?
I'm sorry. You didn't have anything to do with it, but then you're not going to let her pin the whole thing on you? Sir.
What part do you want to be pinned for?
Right? What are you kidding me? Now, for some reason, and I still can't figure this out, they decided to leave the house. Either they were going for a drive or they were driving somewhere. But before leaving, Kimberly paused at the door and turned to her son, Shelton, and asked him to pray for her and said, I have no idea what's going on, which my heart just breaks for her in this moment because she really is just like in the dark and confused and heartbroken.
Yeah.
Now, we find out that surveillance had been ongoing at David Love's house and the church. And they notice that there was some movement at the Love residence right around like 12:55 a.m. And this was right after Teresa ended the call. They see David and Kimberly get into his gray Buick and back out of the driveway and head towards the highway. Now, within moments, David glanced in the mirror and spotted a car following them and tells Kimberly, she is like instant fear unlocked because she's imagining Teresa's following them.
Oh,
and
okay.
she's going to come up and try to kill her or David.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Or both. She's just terrified. However, though, relief swept over her when just under a minute later, an Independence officer pulled over their car and arrested David Love. Kimberly, she was very shaken, but the officers were like, you're not under arrest. You're not even a suspect, but we would like you to come down for an interview. And she was like, sure, because I want answers too.
Poor Kimberly, man.
I know. So they take them to the police station, and when they arrived, David was placed in an interrogation room, and Detective Rose Warren attempted to appeal to David's religious beliefs. He urged him to find the courage to be truthful and emphasized the gravity of the situation. And you're a godly man. Let's just be honest. However, David refused to speak without a lawyer present. And those words ended the interrogation before it could even begin.
Yeah.
And before handcuffing David and taking him to his jail cell, Rose Warren turned around and told him, be prepared for charges to be brought within a day or so, because we are sending this over to the prosecutor's office tomorrow.
Yeah.
With David's arrest, though, the investigation into Randy's death took a significant step forward, especially when Kim, David's wife, proved to be far more cooperative with the interrogation and with investigators than her husband. So she had been suspicious of her husband for some time and was ready to share her own findings regarding David and Teresa and their supposed affair. And she'd been investigating this and stashing some evidence aside for the last few months. So come to find out, David and Teresa's little shenanigans, they had this affair for 10 years, right? And it was right around the last year, they started getting ballsy. And when I say ballsy, we're going to go into how ballsy they were. And I want to just be like, you guys are fucking stupid, okay?
Okay.
So she confirmed during this interview that David and Teresa had indeed been communicating through disposable cell phones. In March of 2009, Kimberly caught David sending a text in the family kitchen that said, I love and miss you too, to an unknown number. So this is late at night, she catches him. Now, he dismissed it as being sent to a nobody. Just a nobody. And he removed texting from his cell phone plan as a way to reassure Kimberly that he was committed to her and their marriage, and he only had eyes for her. So he takes texting off his cell phone. However, a year later, on March 16th, 2010, Kimberly grew very suspicious again when David disappeared into the garage one day when they were watching a basketball game. So she decided, I'm going to go search the garage after he came back. She goes in, she searches, can't find the cell phone. She goes back to the inside the house and she just asks, she says she's prayed. She asks God, help me find this cell phone. Please, if there's anything out there, help me find this cell phone. She returned to the garage and within seconds, her hand immediately fell onto the burner phone and she found it. I was like, you know what?
Go off.
Amen.
Love that.
I can say amen to that one.
Amen. Yeah.
Yeah. So she confronted David and he admitted to texting Teresa, but claimed it was only a platonic relationship aimed at counseling her on her marriage.
For sure.
You fucking twat-waffle. Despite her reluctance, Kimberly chose to believe him out of just a desperation to save their marriage. Now you have to understand, if Randy was saying that the Southern Baptist Convention was too liberal, then you can understand with their religious beliefs that divorce is not an option. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Even when affairs are proven, a lot of people within these religious, fundamentalist type religions will continue in their marriage because that belief is so deep that even
you're still outcast, even if it's an acceptable reason. You're still labeled as the divorcee. So
perfectly
it's
said.
it's a shameful label to have to wear. It's like a scarlet letter, even though you may not have done anything wrong.
Exactly. You didn't. So I think that kind of plays into to why she stayed. That's my opinion. But I think that's kind of why her and Randy both stayed in these marriages.
I don't blame her. You're in survival mode.
Yeah. Now, Kimberly had harbored some suspicions about Teresa from the beginning. Okay, dating back 11 years when Teresa and Randy first joined the church. Teresa would rest her head on David's shoulder during conversations. Kimberly was like,
weird.
red flag, bitch. And she intervened and properly told David, like, this is inappropriate. Put a stop to it now. And they did. Now, Kimberly's suspicion continued to escalate, especially over the last 6 months before Randy's death. So in early 2010, David gifted Kimberly a silver ring. But it wasn't her style, so she wanted to go to the jewelry store and try to exchange it. But when she was at the jewelry store, the clerk printed out the full original receipt. And on it, it included a $299 silver ring set alongside Kimberly's $49.99 ring.
Oh, shit.
So she was hoping that David had just intended to save the ring set for her birthday. So she went home and she looked it up online and immediately recognized it as the ring that Teresa had been wearing to church.
Oh my God. They are ballsy.
I know. It gets worse. So at church, Kimberly made a remark about like, oh my God, it's so pretty. It's such a pretty ring. Trying to see what Teresa would say. And Teresa immediately was like, oh my gosh, it's such a cheapie from JCPenney's. Now, Kimberly knew that it was not, and her husband bought it for this woman. So she goes home and she confronts David about it. And David was like, oh, it meant nothing. It was platonic. And he ends up getting the ring back from Teresa and gives it to Kimberly.
Oh, God. Come on. That's tacky. Come on.
Now, I don't know if this was petty or if she was just like, fuck it. Like, I'm going to just do what I want with it. She took all the rings, took them back to the store and bought herself a gold ring with all of it. It's like a nice gold ring.
Valid.
And I was like, you know what, Kimberly? You go, girl. You deserve that and more.
She does.
Take all of his money. Before ending the interrogation, though, Kimberly offered up a paper filled with phone numbers she had copied down from the burner phone that she found in the garage on March 16th. So it was literally in just the last, like, not even 6 months. It was like the last 3 months before Randy was murdered. She had all this evidence for them.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, though, the anticipated charges against David did not come the next day. The prosecutor's office opted to delay pressing charges, citing the need for more thorough investigation before proceeding. They wanted this locked down before they brought a warrant out for his arrest. They said that the investigators needed to finish the analysis of all the cell phone records and computers before they would actually have enough evidence to bring charges. And this was a process that could potentially take months. So consequently, after just one night behind bars, David walked out a free man. At least temporarily. So the delay in charging David added frustration and uncertainty to an already very complex and emotionally charged situation. This left investigators and those involved in the case anxiously awaiting the outcome and ongoing case. 2 days after he'd made bail, David called a meeting at his home with some church leaders where he announced his resignation. He was admitting to some moral failings, and his written statement expressed remorse and repentance for his actions and his acknowledgement of the affair with Teresa, but he denied any involvement in Randy's death. I didn't do that.
Hey.
But I did boink that woman.
I fucked her, but I didn't kill her.
He was saying, I did have relations with that woman. Now, despite this denial, though, the revelation of the affair tarnished David's reputation and shattered the trust of many within his church community. So this kind of left everybody like, did he do it? Maybe he did do it. If they were blanking, then
he's got motivation.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yep. 2 days later, on Sunday, April 25th, Detective Rose Warren and a squad of officers executed a search warrant on David Love's residence. While officers gathered evidence, the family members gathered into the living room. And despite the tense circumstances, the Love family decided to do a gospel sing-along around the piano.
That's awkward. All right.
What is happening?
There's a time and a place for everything. There's a time to cry, a time to die. Time to sing. Come on, guys.
This is definitely not a time to do a gospel sing-along around
Not
the piano.
the time, love.
I would look around and be like, am I in the upside down? Because what the fuck is happening?
Is this the Twilight Zone?
Is this the Twilight? Yes. Now, the mounting pressure and scrutiny started to take a toll on David. And after the police left his home, He up and left with his brother. He assured Kimberly that his brother would be able to, let her get a hold of him if they needed him. But he made sure and grabbed his birth certificate and his passport before he darted out of there.
Not suspicious at all.
Right? The abrupt departure, right? Not suspicious at all. That's not a red flag. That's a green flag, my friend. Not. Now, let's talk about motive. What the fuck is the motive here besides he's boinking her wife and she's boinking her pastor? As the investigation unfolded and electronic evidence was being analyzed, witnesses started to come forward with crucial insights into the behavior of David and Teresa just days after Randy's death. So remember that pastor I talked about earlier, Pastor David Trump from West Virginia?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he revealed that he had spoken with Teresa Stone and David Love the day after the incident. It hadn't even been a full 24 hours yet. And he found it very suspicious that both of them quickly provided him with their alibis within seconds of starting the conversation with him. I'm like,
that's
okay.
not normal.
Not normal. Mm-mm. Furthermore, David seemed evasive whenever Randy's murder was mentioned. Every time he would attempt to divert the conversation. And then at one point, David even said that he was like, I have so much stuff on Randy if they try to pin this on me.
Did you say that out loud, son?
Now, this was right. Now, this was the day after the murder. And this pastor was like, this is weird. Should I call the cops? But he thought, I've been watching too many officer shows, too many true crime shows.
Oh my God. I watched Dateline. Forget about it.
And I'm just gonna sit on this for a little while. And so after Randy's first arrest, it was like 20 days later, he was like, all right, maybe I should tell the cops about this. So he called and told them. Smart man. Thank you, Pastor. A significant breakthrough also happened when investigators confirmed that the .40 caliber Glock used to kill Randy was indeed his own firearm, his own gun. Now, they were able to confirm this by recovering old shell casings fired by Randy at a target range on Teresa's parents' property. And then they matched him to the shell casing found at Randy's feet.
Good investigative work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Another revelation happened when Teresa found out that she was not entitled to Randy's life insurance money. This dealt a very significant blow to her. Initially, she believed she was entitled to around $800,000. But come to find out, in 2005, when she was like, I'm pregnant with your baby. Just kidding. It's my pastor's. He went in and he removed her as the beneficiary for the insurance policy and instead listed their two minor children as the sole beneficiaries of his $625,000 insurance payout. I don't know where she got $800, but it was $625 and where her money is her kids. Further implications came when a cell phone tower analysis revealed that David's phone was within striking distance, is what they said, of Randy's insurance office around the time the investigators believed Randy had died.
Okay.
So, as the investigators tried to piece together a motive, the computer forensics played a pivotal role. During their analysis, they discovered that 2 weeks prior to his passing, Randy had sent an email to David Love resigning from his position as the finance minister and Sunday school teacher. He also mentioned in this email, he's like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to have visitors about it. Signed, sealed, delivered, period. Done. I'm out.
Wow.
Yeah. Additionally, it uncovered that Randy had harbored some resentment towards church leaders for failing to disclose David Love's son's legal troubles. Apparently, David's son, who was the church's music director, had been charged with the DWI and was allegedly involved in a homosexual act. He was caught in one.
Oh.
Nothing wrong with that, but
it's so scandalous.
Not something the church is approved of. If they don't approve
G-spots in your asshole, naturally.
It's a big
God
no-no.
did that.
Yeah.
Jot that down.
Now, Randy felt that this scandal was something that the congregation should have been informed about, but they weren't. And so he was like, you know what? Fuck all you. Now, after this email, tension reached a boiling point, and during a confrontation at the insurance office, David accused Randy of being too prideful. Sir, you are boinking his wife right now. Shut up. And then David tried to divide Randy and Teresa by saying and alleging that Teresa had sexual relationships with 2 other men.
What?
Right? Where the fuck did that come from?
Who raised you?
Yeah,
God.
right? Wolves. Now, for Teresa, the motive was very clear. The insurance payout and maintaining her position at New Hope Baptist Church. Because if Randy succeeded in leaving the church and taking his family with him, it would jeopardize their decades-long affair.
Yeah.
And Teresa just couldn't bear that. Now, for David, on the other hand, he saw Randy as a threat to his pastoral career. He understood that Randy's knowledge of the church's finances and his son's indiscretions could lead to the end of him as a pastor. And not just at his church. Like, this could be the end of his pastor career everywhere. Which, like, in all reality, it probably wouldn't have been, but he was probably thinking that. So, you know, if we kill him, we get the money, we get to maintain our relationship, and I get to maintain my position as a pastor. Win-win-win is what they're thinking.
Yeah.
Now, despite the absence of a full confession, the mounting circumstantial evidence against David Love and Teresa Stone painted a very damning picture. So after months of meticulous investigation, prosecutors presented their case to the grand jury in November of 2010. The culmination of evidence was compelling enough to secure an arrest for David Love. Now,
nice.
This was some time past his death. So Randy was murdered in March? And this is now November. So this is like multiple months. Now, after David Love, like we said earlier, he left and made bail, and his house was raided, and then he left. Well, eventually his entire family relocated to South Carolina, and he got employment as a long-haul trucker. In order for the police to lure him, in to like easily be arrested, they got his boss to call him and say, "Hey, I got some paperwork for you to sign. Can you come in?" Now, David was suspicious. He was picking up what they were putting down, and he ultimately complied and came to the office, accompanied with his wife. Now, at first, when surveillance saw him stopping by at his home, they thought he was going to try to make a run for it, but apparently he was just grabbing his wife because he suspected he was about to be arrested, and he didn't want like their car to be impounded like it had been the first time around. So he's like, "I just want her to drive the car home."
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So once at the police station, authorities again attempted to interrogate David, hoping that with time he would be, more willing to talk. But again, David insisted on having legal representation, and so
of course,
no interrogation was able to happen. Teresa, though, she finally decided to cooperate with investigators. Like, the circumstantial evidence was just too much at this point. And so she sat down, and for a thorough interview, she was ready to confess everything. She's like, "I will tell you it all." And she knew that there was nothing on the table for her. There was no deal. There was no promise for leniency. They were just like, "Well, let's see what you have to tell me. Maybe the judge will go easier on you, but I don't know." So she's like, okay. She revealed that she had provided David with the garage code, the alarm code, and the code to the gun safe, effectively giving David complete access to their home and Randy's .40 caliber weapon to go in and steal and use as the murder weapon to kill her own husband. She also disclosed that she sent a text to David that said, quote, "I want him dead," end quote. Right? I mean, girl, it's black and white. Meanwhile, David maintained his innocence and prepared for trial, despite being offered a plea deal by the prosecution. The offer, it included a sentence of life in prison with the possibility of parole, though, providing David the chance to be released at the age of 71. They were skeptical that he would take this, but David eventually succumbed to the pressure and confessed and took the plea deal.
Okay, finally.
Now, they think the reason that he confessed and was like, "Okay, I'll take the plea deal," was because it spared Teresa and his son from like depositions and from, being called as witnesses and stuff. So he finally confessed. However, though, concerns lingered about the stability of the plea agreement, especially in the face of the public. So they feared that once in court, surrounded by the media, his family, and friends, David would back out. So to mitigate this, They went to Randy's family and distant relatives, and the prosecution was like, you listen here, bitches. If any of this gets leaked and it gets to the media and he doesn't take this plea, then we're going to seriously consider giving him a plea deal that's only 10 years max.
Oh.
Yeah.
What
They were
the
like,
fuck?
you speak and it gets out. He doesn't take this plea deal. We're going to give him a plea deal of 10 years and he'll be back out on the streets.
They mean business.
I was like, damn, okay, shit. I won't speak. My lips are sealed. It worked though, thank God. And on November 9th, 2011, David Love pled guilty to the murder of Randy Stone. And he received a sentence of life with the possibility of parole. This motherfucker is eligible for parole in 2037.
Wow, that is not far away.
Not far away. And I don't like that. I really don't like that. Meaning, if he got...
You think he'd do something again, or...?
I don't think so, but who knows?
You just don't think it's long enough?
I don't think it's long enough. He fucking murdered a man. And he will only get, if he gets parole, which, like, I hope he doesn't, but if he gets parole in 2037, that bitch would have only spent 27 years in prison.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. What is our man? The Bernie Tita. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Bernie Tita he should have been in prison. He should, serve his time. That's what I'm looking for. But the man has already spent over 30 years in prison. And I know that man will never commit another murder. I know it.
Yeah.
People disagree with me, but there are many of us who believe that he wouldn't. And he spent over 30 years. And this motherfucker gets eligibility for parole? No. Sir.
No thanks.
So following suit, though, Teresa entered a guilty plea for conspiracy to commit murder in her husband's death on April 30th, 2012. So that was a handful of months later. Although she posted bond and remained free until her sentencing hearing on June 15th, her children's pleas for leniency did not sway the judge. Yes, you heard that right. Her children were like, please, judge, go easy on her.
What?
I know. I'm like, girls, boys, I know. It breaks my heart for them because you know that their heart is literally being torn into two completely different directions.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Also, I'm going to correct myself really quick. David was taken in, what was that date? 2010. Okay, so he didn't actually get he was arrested in November of 2010, but he didn't take his plea deal until November of 2011. So it was a full year of him being behind bars. I'm like, that's a long time. And then it was a handful of months later in April of 2012 that Teresa took her plea deal. So the judge was not swayed by her children's pleas, and Teresa received an 8-year sentence.
Just 8 years?
8 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. This was the maximum allowed under the charges.
So she's out?
She's out. Mm-hmm.
No? Okay.
She's out. She's a free woman walking around.
Wow.
I know.
That's weird.
Very weird. Now, this decision sparked mixed reactions, with some feeling that the punishment did not adequately reflect the severity of her actions, which, big agree. There's people in jail who spend way more time and are still in jail for a little bit of weed.
Yeah.
Shut your damn face.
We got to change something.
On a happy note, 2 days after Teresa's sentencing, Randy's mother commemorated his memory by breaking ground on a 30-acre property where New Hope Baptist Church planned to construct a picnic pavilion in his honor.
Oh, that's nice.
Pastor Darren Tharp, I think is how you say it. He was the new pastor of the church, and he expressed the community's commitment to honoring Randy's legacy, envisioning a space where families could gather, accompanied by a plaque bearing Randy's photo. This project serves as a testament to Randy's enduring impact and the resilience of his faith within the community.
Fellowship here, friends.
Yeah, that's basically what they tried to do, and hopefully they did do, but yep, that is it. That is the murder of Randy Stone and his bitch ass wife, Teresa,
and
Pastor David Love. Like, are you kidding me?
You know, the whole pastor and pastor's congregation affair thing just happens way too often.
Way too often. That's
And
why
if
my
you-
parents...
If you suspect it happening in your church, it's probably happening.
Yeah, trust your gut. Trust your gut. Okay. Before I talk about my parents, I'm just going to say this. I talked with a police officer, and he said, asked all of us, like it was a group of us, and he was like, how many of you have had this weird suspicion, like weird gut feeling that something was going wrong? You know, you're seeing somebody walked by, somebody's acting suspicious at the park or whatever, and you feel like you need to call this in. And everyone's like, you know, I've had that. And he's like, how many of you have actually called it in? And it's like way less hands are raised at this point. And he said, please call it in every single time. He said, 9 out of 10 times there is something illegal going on. And we need you to trust your gut, because that gut is what helps us get criminals off the streets and stuff.
If
and
you're
I was
wrong,
like,
whatever. They won't follow up on it.
what's the worst that could happen?
But if you're right, man, that's what counts.
And back to the pastors and clergy members affairs. So that is the whole reason my parents don't go to church. My parents stopped going to church when I was like, I don't know, toddler, something like that. Because at our church, it was a Baptist church. And not to say this only happens at Baptist church, because it happens in every congregation, in every denomination, in every religion, okay? But the pastor had an affair with the secretary, and then they ran off together. So the church had to get a new pastor and a new secretary. And then the new pastor had an affair with the new secretary, and then they ran off together. And my dad said, fuck you, bitches. You can't even keep your dick in your pants. How am I supposed to take advice from you? No.
Yeah.
And my parents never went back to church.
I mean, I get it.
To this day. I was like,
it.
you know what? Valid. I didn't find that out till I was, oh my gosh, I think I was like late 20s. I asked my parents, I was like, I know you guys used to go to church, because I remember like very vivid, just like sparks of memories of this church. And I was like, what made you guys stop going? And then my dad told me, and I was like, what the hell?
What a pattern to start.
That tracks though, right? I was like, wow.
Damn.
2 in a row. 2 in a row. Yeah. But that's the case. As always, pictures of it are over on Instagram if you guys want to follow and see pictures of Randy. He's a good man. Good man.
It wasn't super bad, you know. Like, I hate that he lost his life. He didn't deserve that.
Yeah.
But you want a palate cleanser? Because I got a good one.
You got a good one?
I have a really good one.
It's usually Lola that's like, oh shit, what's my palate cleanser? Like the right before.
Honestly, I'm just relying on Good News Network from now on, because like,
and I love it.
There's always something amazing there that I find.
Agreed.
So, first of its kind, medical school in Cherokee Nation graduates first class of doctors. In 2020, GNN reported that the inaugural class of the nation's first medical college on a Native American reservation had begun their studies. And now they have just graduated. 46 graduating students.
26?
Yeah. 46.
Yeah. 46. Woo!
So it says the 46 graduating students from Oklahoma State University's College of Osteopathic Medicine at the Cherokee Nation include 15 members of all tribes all around the country, including Cherokee, Choctaw, Muskogee. I think that's how you say that. Seminole, Chickasaw,
We are
Alaska
white.
Native.
Okay, guys, I'm so sorry.
Caddo and Osage. Yeah. I'm sorry if I butchered those, but that's amazing that so many are represented in that class. So 46 graduated. Amazing. Congratulations, you guys. You deserve it. That's amazing.
Snaps all the way around. Oh my gosh. That is so good.
Incredible.
Oh my gosh. My palate cleanser is I'm almost done with my book. Whoop, whoop.
Hell yeah.
I'm super excited. I went through, I was not like super happy with it. And so I decided like I needed to add some stuff. Our editor was like, you need to add some stuff. So I added some stuff. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to do like a complete overhaul of every chapter. So I went through and I just like made it sound way nicer, way better. And so I'm like through 7 chapters and I only have like, it only takes me a little bit to go through each one. So I'm almost done. So I'm hoping.
The writer be writing though.
I'm hoping that it'll be like done in the next, probably finished editing and ready to like hit the hit the bookshelves probably within the next, by the time you guys hear this, 4 to 6 months. So hopefully before the end of the year. So cross your fingers.
I love it.
Cross your fingers.
Well, excellent.
Love you guys. As always, please keep listening. Please stay queer and, just touch grass because Lord have mercy. Go pet a kitten.
And with that, stay safe, stay skeptical, and steer clear of the cultish carousel.
Bye.
Also, heathens, if you're enjoying the show so far, please remember to subscribe wherever you're listening to us and leave a review. Interact with us. If you can leave a comment on Spotify, do so. Join our Patreon and buy some merch if you want to. The links are on our Instagram bio. Deadly Faith is brought to you by Choircast Network. It's produced by Laci Bean and Lola Robbins and audio engineered by Eric Howell. Thanks for listening.